Okay, everybody, we've made it to our March team call. This is kind of fun because it falls on the first of the month. So welcome to March, welcome to being together. Mom, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with a little bit of a recap and some recognition from February.
Okay, I was going to say, I think it's always fun when we meet on the very first day of the month, but you just said that. Great minds, right? So we've got 31 days ahead of us to learn and grow, but first I wanted to look at February. So we have 16 new members in Fierce Oilers, and that's three more enrollments than there were in January, which puts us at 1,870 Fierce Oilers in total. And so I wanted to congratulate all of you who had one enrollment. That would be Katie Burnt, Laura Wipperman, Kelly Wells, Danielle Kraus, Nia McDowell, and myself. And with two enrollments, we had Pam Jensen, Laura Shields, Hannah Dobbins, Emily Rashid, and I'm going to do a little disclaimer here. Susan Wood had three enrollments for about 12 hours. And then because she did I would say the right thing, it went to two, but I'd say 2.5, right? So congratulations to all of you. You guys had a great month. I think a lot of fruit came from the oily pop-ups. So we'll hear more about that later.
All right, so I had like an idea of how this would all look, and I like at about 2 p.m. today threw that out the window. So, but I did want to definitely keep what we're going to do first is just hear from. I asked quite a few of you to share for like 1 to 2 minutes about like the month of February, most of you in regards, because a lot of you were doing it, like what was it like for people to host classes for you? How did that process look? How did it unfold? And I just want to give the disclaimer because not almost everybody, but quite a few of you responded with like, well, yeah, this was great, but here was a hard part, or like this happened, but I felt this way. And so I like really want on this call people to share like the good and the ugly. It's okay to like talk about that because we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So I don't have a specific order at all. Let's start with Susan. I've got your name down first. So yeah, she had 3 enrollments. So Susan, why don't you tell us just a little bit about hosting those pop-ups and what that looked like? Tell us about it.
All right, you gave me permission to do good and bad, right? So at the beginning of the month in February, when we started doing the oily pop-up, when we had that rollout, I wasn't really quite sure how that was going to fit into my world, right? So don't forget, I have a small world and it's, just taking off. And it was just uncertain how we were going to do that. And so Melissa and I just really worked to make it my own. And I think that's a really wonderful, you gave us such a foundation and such a platform to be able to make this, have the building blocks and the tools, and then just kind of take off. So I was able to have 2 of them, one thanks to Tanya, who's on, and we had what do we have, like 6 or 8 in each time, and one we had 9, I think. Oh, Melissa will know, my head's still spinning, but literally not because of this, but for all of both of those oily pop-ups. And so it was really kind of fun to be able to have that size group. Like, I like that size group. That's kind of like maybe a medium, I would say. And it was really neat to get to talk to the different people ahead of time, kind of figure out what they wanted, and then kind of tailor a little bit and tweak some of the recipes to what they were kind of thinking they wanted to, like what they were interested in, right? So I had one group that was really interested in animals and pets. And so, okay, fine. So we'll do animals and pets. And so just, I think that's really great. Like I've heard through the months, like if you have new moms or if you, whatever period of life you're in, I think that was really neat. And it was a real stretch for me. I will be honest, I was super nervous, and everybody was really kind, and they're like, we did a really good job. And I mean, I have to just say that's such a blessing that we were able to just like push ourselves out there. Again, without your foundation, I don't think we would have been so strong. And then to be able to, I really love that it's a team. So to me, that was a real gift, to work together. So, and I know Melissa was busting her chops because Pam and I were keeping her busy, and that was kind of fun. And she was making it her own, and I was making it my own, and so Melissa was poor spinning too. But it was all good. It was really all good. So, and it's a lot of follow up. And the saddest part, doTERRA made it such a great month this month with 50 and 50. So that was really helpful. And then the On Guard products for 200. So that really pushed us and helped us get there. And, the only downside was there was only 28 days in the month. So we lost our tail.
We got cut short. Thanks, Susan. That's awesome. I like how you made it your own, and it does sound like you had great success when you leaned into that. Melissa, I know you had, go ahead, and you have somebody.
Yeah. So I just wanted, Pam, I apologize. We had another family move in. My life is a little upside down. So I didn't officially ask Pam to share. So Pam, I apologize for that. I just wanted to give a shout out and ask Pam for some feedback. What Pam did was she took Essential Oils Made Easy and made it her own. So she, like the oily pop-up is EOME with the recipes. Mm-hmm. And what Pam did was she made a really unique and meaningful and well thought out EOME that reflected her personality and gave her voice. So Pam, do you have anything you want to share? I mean, you got 2 enrollments out of that, almost 3. Do you have something you'd like to
she
share?
would have if she wasn't in Dallas. They just, she was creamed. Yeah, I agree with Susan, Amy, and Melissa. You guys did such a unbelievable foundation that there's no way I could have put things together with my own twist without that foundation. So I can't thank you enough for all that hard work up front that you guys have done. I too, like Susan, just wanted to make it my own. So I felt comfortable talking and not kind of reading the scripts that you guys had written. So I kind of changed the logo, and I said it was Kitchen Chats, Journey to Oils. And I had a little table, and that was my theme. And then I knew my people really well because I've worked with them. So I kind of knew what they wanted to hear. Thank goodness for Sonia and Melissa answering questions that I could not answer. But again, I think like Susan, we just had fun. I loved having some questions and games, and we kind of screwed that up, but it was so much fun in the mix up. And people loved the fact that they won. So I haven't stopped hearing about that. What I did a little bit different at the end of it is I created a kind of a recommendation sheet for everybody. So I asked them what their 3, health concerns were. And then Melissa and I came up with recommendations for each one of those. And then we gave what we thought that they should purchase based on what they had stated. I think everybody loved that. And it got me a good point to follow up with them. I sent them that form. We talked through it. I made my recommendations. And so I'm going to change it up. I'm going to have 2 in March, and I'm going to change it even a little bit more. So I think I've talked too much. So sorry.
You're good. I thought that was really good.
Thank you so much. You did a great job. And I really, it's so fun to have you be newer and to just plunge right in. And I really appreciate that.
And I think you should share your form in the Fierce Leader Facebook group. Okay, thank you.
I'd be happy to.
If you're willing. Okay, so Laura Jaramillo is on with us tonight. She also, I think, you'll hear that same theme of making it her own. But can I just preface this with like Laura Jaramillo was like, okay, so remember we did in our last month, I was like, text some people and like, see if you can book a class. And I got this text from her like an hour after the call was over, and with a foul word in it. Like, I just booked classes, and like, what, like, she didn't like, I don't think like totally thought there was like, yeah, Amy says to do it, I'm going to do this. She's like pretty pregnant, like life is moving along. And so I was like, okay, calm breaths. Like, let's set up a Zoom call and we'll talk this through. So she gets bonus points for like leaning in after she stepped off that clip and making it happen and doing things that I know she didn't really want to do. But ultimately, I think Laura would say, let's hear. I think she would say she had fun, but let's hear about it, Laura.
It was a really good way of describing how I just kind of jumped in. And I really do love teaching classes. I haven't taught in a long time. So I felt really overwhelmed because I had 5 people say they wanted to host a class. So how did I make it my own? I ended up having 2 classes and taught one with one of my like other leaders who really hasn't engaged in a long time. So it was really nice to engage Esperanza in that with me. And she's all about making it her own. So like I let her kind of take the lead with that, and that was fun. And felt like a leader. Like I felt like I was able to be a leader for her. And I really went in with no expectations of enrollments because that just means more follow-up for me. And that's my worst. Emily and Amy know it's just not my strength. And this was a lot of follow-up. I think I texted Amy too, or maybe sent you a Marco Polo and was like, why the F am I doing samples? I don't.
You're so
like
mad. So
samples.
mad about it.
I was like, how much money did I just spend on mailing the samples out? How much time did I just spend? It was a lot. It was a lot. But I really, like in my heart, I love helping people. And I loved asking like, what kind of oil could I give them as an extra sample? So, and then my second class that I had, I followed everything. I even went through, I didn't do the sharing part, Amy, but I did talk about hosting a class of your own. And that was kind of scary for me. But I did it and it was easy. And I was like, and I did it so that I didn't have to look at people in my screen, and that was a lot easier. But I think my biggest takeaways was like not having expectations. The one person that did not get her samples in time was actually the person that enrolled under Danielle. So to me, it's just like just don't stress too much. Like through my years of doTERRA, I've really put a lot of stress and pressure on myself for things like this. And this time I didn't and had a lot more fun with it. So thanks for the encouragement last month. I don't know if I'll jump in like that again with my baby due in May.
You did a good job. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we've got like brand new people who are like finding ways to engage with this, like, you know, or people who are like, I think Laura, it's probably safe to say it was almost like a re-engagement for you and for SP. And you made it fun. Like your priorities were like fun, low expectation. And I think you remade your experience of how you feel about teaching a class a little bit. So good work. Okay. Laura Shields did some hosting or had some people hosting for her. Laura, do you want to share a little bit about what that was like for you in February?
Yeah, so let's see, I had planned out 2 pop-ups, only got one of those scheduled. We had to reschedule the second one. So I got one done. And that one went really good. I actually co-led it with Amy, and it was a lot of fun actually doing the co-lead. I thought that was just fun having 2 people talking and kind of going back and forth. And it was great to have you there and to support myself doing my first one online like that. But so yeah, I had one of my people that she's been with me like kind of from like the very beginning. So she was kind of like my first one, but just not like a consistent like buyer, or just like not consistently involved, but wanting to kind of make that step. So this was a great way to kind of get her excited about it too, and kind of get a little bit of that insight into what it looks like to host a class herself, like if that's something that she's interested in the future. So that was kind of a different angle that I was kind of helping her be familiar with too, and kind of get to know of what it would be like to be that communication of people, like with people in that. So so that was one thing that was great, like for her to do, but also kind of made it harder for me to host it and to kind of know where the people were coming from. I guess I would say that was the one thing, like she was the one contacting them and asking them about the class, but then I just didn't know exactly where everybody stood with oils, which was fine. Like that, it totally worked out. Like in the follow-up, I did do the follow-up, so that worked out. It just kind of had a different, I was like kind of doing catch up, I guess, there with like the follow-up, and it took a lot of conversation, texting, which I just don't like doing, but a lot of people do. So I'm getting used to that as well, of like texting versus encouraging, like, can we just get on the phone really quick and kind of hash out some things? And some did, and that worked out great. So from that class, I got one enrollment right away. And then I have another one who says she wants to enroll this month. It just worked out that March would be better financially for her. So we have an appointment set to touch base and hopefully get her enrolled too. We'll just see. But it was a really great class. I loved doing it, and I am looking forward to doing this a couple more times in March now and kind of adding variety. So one way I'm thinking is doing a class that's like for my current customers, that's instead of like enrollment kits, it's the LRP kits, and how I can get people kind of connected with doing LRP orders, and those who are kind of saying like, I want to get more consistent and I want to be more committed to it. So like I'm hoping to do one that's more that focused with the recipes and things like that. And then the other one that I rescheduled, that one will be like an oily pop-up that's like focused on mamas and kids and medicine cabinet kind of things, and kind of hone in on those recipes for mamas and babies, which worked out great because I did a mamas and babies event, a different event this month. So I kind of got that stuff all prepped and ready to go, which was great. So yeah, so that's kind of how I've been doing it and tweaking it as I go and learning as I go.
I love that. That idea of the LRP kits for the wellness tracks is so good. I have to like correct you. We didn't co-teach the class. Like we like divvied up the slides, and then Laura was like, I'm going to do, she did it so well, guys. This was like, every time it was my turn to speak, I was like, oh, okay. Sorry. I was listening to Laura. She was doing so good. So I thought it was really fun. Okay, and then I asked Em to share a little bit too. She had some people who hosted this past month, and just as a reminder that the recipes vision was born with Emily and her team. So just giving credit where credit is due. I know, right? I just like, I like systematize things, but it was okay. So talk to us about your February.
Oh my gosh, you're funny. Yeah, so February ended really well. I started off February like really confident because I was like in active, like frequent contact with 4 or 5 different women that were in my vendor group from the end of January, and all were like, yeah, I'm super interested, like definitely want to get oils. 5 women, you guys. 4 of the 5 of them completely ghosted me, like completely. And so, like back and forth, I followed up 3 times, like nothing. So I had to just let that go. At the beginning of the month, I posted on my social media, like, I don't have I don't post a lot of doTERRA stuff on my social media, but I did with the promos, and I had 2 people, one of whom was like sort of a friend from college who I've had like basically no contact with, who was like messaging me about them. And then another was someone who I've been in contact with, it's my husband's cousin. And both were like, yeah, I want that. I want to do that. And then same thing, kind of like, oh yeah, I just want to wait till this. Well, I don't know about this, like back and forth. There was like a lot of like messaging back and forth. So I think total I had 8 people in the month expressing like, oh yeah, maybe 9. Yeah, I'm super interested. And then like one by one, they were like all falling through. So I had all these like classes lined up and people hosting, and it was like, one had to get canceled for this reason. There's one person that came, another, it just was like kind of one thing after another, but it ended well. Like on the last day of the month, yesterday, both of them enrolled. So my like friend from college and James's cousin, like at the stroke of midnight, right, to get the promos, I was like, you guys don't miss this. So anyway, I think it ended well. I was like glad to have all that stuff planned, but then March, I feel like it's been a lot harder getting things booked for whatever reason. So it's okay. Like, I've got follow-ups to do. I'm still going to try to get at least one recipes class booked. I have someone who expressed interest in that. And then, so just thinking of like kind of how I want to tweak that a bit. And then, we'll see what March brings, right? Like we've got leadership. So like it's okay. There's always things going on, trying to just like have grace for that, like Laura said. And just like, okay, it's not quite what I thought, but I'm still super grateful for the pace that it's going. So definitely some good things. I started off super confident, like killing it with these recipes classes. And then it was like, wah, wah. But I'm like, still, people are still really excited about it. And I love hearing about Pam and Susan, how you guys are like making it your own. And Laura J, that like killed me. I can imagine you at a class being like, please nobody enroll. Oh my gosh, please let nobody enroll. I'm just like dying. So that just made me laugh. So anyway, it's all good. You know, there's different seasons of it. So we're moving forward.
Oh, so accurate. Okay, Laura Wipperman. So I posted in Fierce Leaders because she, again, created a really brilliant process and had some classes booked. So Laura Wipperman, tell us a little bit about how you went about that.
Okay, so I kind of want to echo what Pamela and Susan were saying first about how you and your mom just laid a wonderful foundation for us to spring from. But I want to go a little bit different track with that. And none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the culture that you two have created. So we have such a culture here of lifting each other up, supporting one another, reaching out to one another, coming to each other's rescue, allowing each of us to just make things our own and tweak things, and we can do what we want after you roll something out. So that being said, it's like we're all successful because of you two. So thank you. Anyway, traditionally in February, it's kind of been a month where we appreciate our customers, and we have a customer care event, like when we could do things in person. So I just really felt called to want to appreciate my customers. So I came up with 6 rollers, and my daughter helped me come up with beautiful, fun, cute names for each of them, having to do with Valentine's Day and love. And I texted a bunch of people and said, hey, I'd love to just appreciate you. I love that you have been a faithful customer, and just want to love on you. So pick one of these that you most would like to try. And I shipped out like 47, no, I delivered and or shipped 47 rollers to people. And I thought, I want to kick it up a notch. So I said, pick one of these and I'll get it to you. And if you'd like to choose 3, how about hosting a pop-up for you and 5 friends? And if you want all 6 and a cute little bag, get 10 friends on a call. And I said, a pop-up is just a fun little class. It's no more than 30 minutes, and you can pick the topic. So I don't even care what they want to talk about. They all reached out to their friends. They all came up with the topic. They, each of the 3 hosts decided, took on some work and wanted to do it and was motivated to do it. So I'm a little behind the 8 ball though, because of scheduling issues. And February just felt really short. Like, where were those other days? So one's tomorrow night, one's Friday night, and one's next week. And we'll see how those go. But I'm hoping, I'm pitching at the end of the class that they will host a pop-up. Some of those guests that are on, I think there's 8 on 2 of the calls and 5 on 1 of the pop-up calls. But I think that the reason this was attractive to people is because the sound of the word pop-up sounds extremely non-threatening and low stress, low pressure, like no pressure whatsoever, and actually a lot of fun and nothing threatening about it. So I think that's one reason why they want to do it.
Guys, that is some good stuff right there. Thank you, Laura Wipperman. I love the process you laid out. I love how you did that and the different tools that you use. So good. And letting them pick their own topic, giving them the ownership. So good.
Well, that is like my down, because now I had to flip out after finding out, okay, one of them wants to talk about perimenopause and menopause. I'm like, I know nothing about that. I know nothing about that. I've already been through it with it before I got into oil. So I skipped that whole thing, but it caused me to learn. So that was good. But yeah, that was my freak out, is like, oh my gosh, they're picking stuff to talk about that I'm not even ready to talk about. So
I just need somebody to be like, Amy, I want you to teach about pets. And I'd be like, bye-bye now. Okay, good. Okay, guys, that was really good sharing. Something that just like a random tidbit, but I thought was really good. Laura Wipperman and I were having a Zoom about something, and she and Lindsay are really good about when they pick, like, you know how my mom and I came up with the incentives, and it's like all oils that you get for hosting a class. And they're always like the non-oil incentives, like offer an app or an essential basics book, a reference book, or, you know, the new mistings, all those top accessories from oil bottle accessories from Oil Life, the things that help them use their oils. So I just wanted to encourage you to think like Laura and Lindsay in that regard, if that's like refreshing. And I do think that's a really good point. Mom, I know we talked about you talking about, should we save it? Am I canning you, or do you want to do it?
You can totally can me. I mean, I can do it in 3 minutes. I don't know. I mean, this was just super inspiring, but I don't know. I kind of still want to roll with it. I don't know.
Okay, give me a minute. We're going to think about it. Guys, put in the chat box if you want Melissa to talk about sampling on this call or in a live video in Fierce Oilers that you can watch. Put in the chat box. Cool. Or thumbs up or something. I don't know. So we wanted to talk about that. I found out about a secret thing happening that doTERRA is doing on the 20th. Has anybody else heard about this? No. Okay. See, so leadership is the 18th to the 19th, attended online if you're silver or above. The 20th, though, they're doing a training free. Like you don't even have to register. It's just going to pop up on the 20th. I'm thinking about a 3-hour time range. It's for elites to premiers, from what I understand. Okay. So that's coming on the 20th. That would be that Saturday after the 18th and 19th. So I'll keep you posted as I know more, but I wanted to put a bug in your ear on that for sure. Okay. I feel like we've talked a lot about like the theme. There wasn't a theme of tonight, but maybe it's making it your own might be the theme. And something that, like that concept of like, you know, maybe we like roll something out and then we say like, here you go. And one of the things in my mind in 2020 that was rolled out was the concept of, CE and a weekly continuing education classes and a weekly essential oils made easy. We felt like that was like kind of a cornerstone of like consistent care for potential and current customers. And so my mom and I tackled that, right? Tried to figure it out, like committed. And my mom was like, how long are we committing our Saturdays? And I was like, for a long time, Mom, like, suck it up, buttercup, was pretty much what I told her. And we definitely had help in that. We had like Sonia was on a lot, like helping host, like we've got Lord, like we've definitely had help in it, but it was like our heart to kind of like roll that out and make that happen. And I feel like part of 2021 is then like not the release of that, but the adding in of different voices, you know, like you're not hearing as much, like it just so happened, I think it was really good timing that like Mama and Mimi only happens like once a month now. Like there's been a real shifting out of like it has been created, the system is there, and kind of adding in new voices. So I create all of our classes quarterly. I think it's quarterly. So the next 3 months are about to start. April, May, and June are all set up. And I have a sign-up sheet for all of our essential oils made easy and all of our CE classes. And the reality is, even if you are like, I'm just always going to teach the same CE class, so you never have to learn a new one, that's fine. But if you found a duo, even if it was a cross-line duo, like an example of cross-line would be like Sonia and I are cross-line, like she's not part of my downline. But like, even if you want to find a duo and sign up for one of those, I think that it's just like the algorithm in Facebook. And you guys you guys remember when for Christmas, I asked if you would fill out a survey for me? Okay. One of the things that you said is that it's easier to invite to something when you're the ones teaching it. And so I think that that's something to be said for too. So I'm going to probably just put up the link I'm going to put it right now. It's going to go in the chat box, but I'm also going to put it in the team app. But I just kind of wanted to like, go back to the original vision and the continuing vision for 2021 of those things that are happening. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm hoping it does. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I just really feel like we want to pass the torch. We're still here, but we really would love to have your voices. And in order to do that, we need you to sign up. That would be really great on many different levels, but people love hearing from all of you.
It's super true. We get that feedback all the time.
We don't want talking heads.
Okay, Melissa, samples, rip it up.
Okay, so just really quickly, Amy and I attended, and Sonia too, Back to Basics in Salt Lake City last year before the world shut down. And so much of what we're doing now was based on what we learned there. And I feel like we started teaching everybody how to do samples. And just recently, somebody said to me, I don't send samples, or I haven't even thought about sending just samples. And so I just wanted to go over that really quickly, what I send out to people. So these are people who either say, I'm kind of interested in oils, and I give them the 4 topics. Do you have an issue in one of these 4 areas: pain, stress, sleep, or digestion? Almost everybody has an issue with those. So what I do is I invite them to an EOME, and I send them a sample, definitely of peppermint and wild orange, because that's what we ask them to try when they're in the class with us. But also I try to add in something else. So I know Pam Jensen's loves sending a deep blue rub packet, and that's been super successful for her. Other people like to put in an adaptive quarter dram. So I just send my these little Ziploc bags are from Hobby Lobby, and I put my quarter drams in there so they don't roll around and get lost in my envelope. And then the other thing, I send 2 other things, guys. I send one of these little A to Z guides. I will never cease to be amazed at how much people love these. And there are people that are like, I didn't get one of those, but my friend did. Sometimes I lose my mind and I forget to send one, and people are like, could you please send me one? And I'm like, of course. So one of these, people love them. And the other thing I do is I pulled up an Essential Oils Made Easy handout. I mean, I know that the link is sent to them when they register, but there's something about getting it in the mail. And you'd be surprised how many people don't have printers at work or whatever. So I send these 3 things in an envelope. Now, if you're like Amy Baumann, you'll use this size envelope and you'll fold it all over and you ram it in there. I like to use a bigger envelope. So it's just whatever works for you. Send that out to them. I like to put a little note in there saying, I'm excited to see them. I make sure they have the link to register for the next one. And so it's super easy. All you need are your quarter drams, your peppermint, and your wild orange. The labels for the little bottle tops that you can get for 50 cents in your back office. These little Ziploc bags from Hobby Lobby, your handout, your EOME, and the envelope. I use PayPal shipping. If you don't know how to do that, I did a video in Fierce Leaders, a Loom video, and I can tag you in that, or I can talk to you about it. And again, these are just suggestions. You can do whatever you want. Make it your own. But I just want to say it's been a really good thing for me in my business. And if you want to ever do a call with me to brainstorm on sampling or revisiting sampling, let me know. And I also really love sending out a sample. If you're in a pinch and you're like, I ran out of something, or I need something, or I just want to get the sample out and I have a busy 2 days and I'm not going to, ask me. I would love to do that. I'm happy to do that. I'm in a station of my life where I believe it or not, can find my sample stuff with everything going on here. But I love working with all of you. And if you need me to help you that way, I'm happy to do that.
Thanks, Mom. Yeah, just the final thing I wanted a chance to say, I have to answer why I was weeping in that picture in Fierce Leaders. I know, right? Okay, so you guys are kind of chuckle. I was like, how am I going to really describe this? So I had a lot of interesting thoughts after my interview with my mom, a lot of thoughts. We had to go back to it, and I have to be like, wait, and what about this? Anyway, and one of the things is somehow I was thinking probably expressly about my interview with Kara Manders, and she is one of the only people who heard about oils from me. And she was like, I emerged her. That's what that was. And so for those of you who don't know, Emerge is a tool that we used that a lot of us still use in different ways, but we don't talk about anymore. But Emerge was a really effective way to talk to people one-on-one. about oils, like without being weird. It was like kind of an outline and a structure and a framework, a process that we followed that was fruitful. I went from silver to diamond the year that we implemented that. It was my greatest year of business. And I think there was a variety of things that happened in that year, but Emerge got like canned. It got set aside for a lot of different ways, a lot of different kind of emotional things, maybe. Anyway, I don't mean to make it sound weirder than it was, but it hasn't really been talked about. And I honestly I miss it. And I have such a deep appreciation for what it did for my business. I like said Emerge and I started crying. I started crying about it. I miss it.
I had to take a picture of her in the middle of it because I was
you would have
weeping.
thought I was like pregnant and weepy. I'm not. I just had the big weepies. So the bottom line is this: I am very passionate. I love that you guys have really launched this online class tool because I think it's so valuable. But there are just so many tools to have in your tool belt, because when you can't get that person on the class, what do you do? And you need to know how to talk to them. And so I have, like, in essence, like the ability to, in 1 hour, kind of walk you through what that looks like. And it can happen in a group format, it can happen in a Zoom just like this, but I'd like to put one of those on the calendar for March to reteach. And some of you have never learned it. Like, how do you actually have a good one-on-one conversation, a really meaningful one? And so if that's something that you're like, I think that would be helpful, I'd like to have that tool in my tool belt of doing a one-on-one conversation, well, then I'm going to work on getting that on the calendar. But I think that we're all learning how to use our own voice and what that looks like. And that's like probably the most meaningful thing of all, is like, as people start to figure that out and what that looks like. So I really do love hearing that. So yeah, I cried about Emerge. I know, wow. But it's that significant to me. Okay. I just want you to take that away. Not that Amy's a whack job, that there's some really good stuff behind it is what I want you to think. Okay. I think that's probably it for today. One of the things that I was thinking, but I'll just say this: if somebody wants to set up a time, I know my mom is capable of doing the exact same thing. So if you belong to her, that's fine. You can talk with her. But I was like writing down all the different hard spots that I feel like I've heard some of you talking about, or I know, like, I'm trying to get people to book a class, or people have ghosted me, or how do I follow up with people who attended my class who didn't enroll and care for them well, and not just let them fall off like the face of, like, those kinds of things. Like, I really love mapping out a plan. Laura J's like, if Amy will maps out one more plan for me, I will just drive to Wisconsin and kick her. But I really like mapping out a plan and kind of talking that through and brainstorming that. So if you're staring at March and you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Then, like, set up collaboration is really significant on that. Even Laura and Lindsay came up with those 6 rollers together, the names for that, like the synergy of that. They're so good at that. So if you need that, we are here. And if you hit a roadblock, know that we have all hit that same roadblock. And then we sat down and we figured out what we were going to do and try again differently. We all start over at the beginning of the month, just like we're all on the same level playing field. So thanks for the synergy. Thanks for the community. Thanks for the collaboration. I think that's a really important part of what this community is. And I think that this monthly team call has turned into like our togetherness time, because this is all we have. So I appreciate you taking the time to be on. I really do. And I hope that we'll get to connect individually as the month goes on, but I know that we'll get a chance to do this again in April, and I'll look forward to that. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
I have a real quick one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Jerry's first.
So I have a disgruntled customer. She's my sister-in-law. And she was really breathing in my ear the other night because she's just so frustrated with doTERRA. And I just would like to have the right words to say to her, because Zendocrine soft gels. So she gives them to her one dog who benefits so much, and so she's just frustrated. She said she feels like doTERRA spent so much time. She's been a customer for 3.5 years, and a really good one. And that like rolling out their new things. She said to me, why couldn't they just put more energy into keeping in stock the things that I want that are out of stock, like Terrazyme for so long, and then other Zendocrine soft gels. And so I would just appreciate some input and some thoughts on that. Yeah, she just texted me now because she's not happy. So,
I have two quick thoughts, if it's okay to say. First of all, I feel like when a customer is sometimes disgruntled about that, it's a really good time to show the community of like the doTERRA community at large and be like, I'm going to post in a couple groups and see if we can scrounge up some, like seeing that play an effect of like, oh, like I can get her some. I think that's a really good thing. And the other thing, I understand why she might be thinking like the energy here, but I think that's like apples and oranges. I think the energy and the like what it must take to find the new ones is different than like, well, Terrazyme was like specifically like a like was more of a manufacturing thing, whereas new oils are more like, how can we actually get to these places now? Kind of a thing. So I think that's a little bit, those are two of my initial thoughts.
I was just going to say, I feel like I purchased from other MLMs and supply and demand have been wicked. And getting things from other companies that I love has been problematic for me. And I just feel like I would never think to hold the company responsible for that. So it's hard for me to think about that, but I do think my thought would be what Amy said. I would see if I could get her some through the group, and I would assure her that I think that so much of this is COVID related, and it's not related at all to where they're putting their energy. Because Xenocrin is a hot one. Xenocrin and Terrazyme, some of the ones that they've been out of are things that they would never ever would ever plan to be out of, I guess. Is any of that helpful?
yeah, thank you.
No one's surprised that my mom and I said the same thing. Pam, what was your question?
I just would love to have all of us share some of the stuff on the app, just so we can pull down things if that's possible, because I keep asking everybody to do it. And I feel like I'm being aggressively asking for things. So if we all just want to put our stuff up, that'd be great. If we can.
Yeah, let's do this. So I'll put, it's easier to do that kind of like where we all post. I'll put the recording up. I'll probably stay up tonight and get it up in the Facebook page, because then we can like comment. That's the easiest place for people to actually actively post. The teen app is a little bit like the comments are more hidden, I feel like a little bit. So if you have something that needs to be shared, or you said you would share, do that on the Facebook page, even if it's in your own post and not in a comment under mine, I would say. And then I'll try and keep only one concise post going in the teen app. Does that sound fair?
I didn't realize, I thought you were the only person. This is me. I just thought only you could post in the teen app.
I can, but people can comment. You can comment on it, but you have to know how to find the comment and see. I don't know that it's like, So, yeah. But it gives you that really annoying notification. So I'll use it forever. Okay. Okay, good. All right, good. All right, everyone. I hope that's helpful. Let's keep in touch. Okay. Have a
Thank
good
you all.
night.
See you.